Hey guys, welcome back to Southern Soul Chats in our summer series. I'm Dr. Ferguson, and we are jumping back into our second episode with Chris Fahey, Battling the Unseen. In part one, Chris Fahey opened up about his heartbreaking struggles of his early life, marked by deep pain, loss, and incredible resilience. Now, in part two, we step into the turning point of his journey. You'll hear how Camp Grace became a lifeline and how God's grace paired with the strength of community brought healing and transformation. This is a testimony of hope, of overcoming the battles no one sees, and discovering purpose through faith. So settle in and let's hear the rest of Chris's powerful story. Hey y'all, thank you for coming back to part two of Chris Fahey's story. We're super excited to pick up where we left off. Now, if you remember, Chris had just finished on talking to us about the moment where he realized that surrender was the last choice, really, the choice he had not quite made fully. And so we're going to move into this second part today, talking about his healing and his transformation and how Camp Hope played a huge part of that. So welcome back, Chris.
Thank you.
And let's get back into it.
Man, so I can tell you now what a give up looks like, what it feels like. I can tell you what, just beating my face against a wall, definition of insanity, right? Trying to get a different solution out of the same thing because I was terrified. I was terrified of what was going to happen when I started truly admitting to myself who I was. So when I was at the Montgomery County Veterans Pod, and there's an idea that there's this place, and it's called Camp Hope. It came right after that first surrender. And I just asked God for help. Sometimes God can be pretty literal, right? Like asking for hope, Camp Hope, right?
Yeah. He has a really great sense of humor.
I felt like, though, at that point, 41 years of trying, you really needed to spell it out for me.
Yeah. Like, I need detailed instructions, step by step. Put it on the wall, whatever you got to do.
So I contacted the outreach office, or I think maybe somebody did it for me over at Tri-County Behavioral Health. There was a veteran liaison there that helped get me connected. A gentleman by the name of Chris Burgess, who still works over there, had got me connected. And I was still pretty feral, right? Coming off the streets, coming out of jail, not just for, about a year. I was very reactive. I'm not using. I have nothing that's like numbing anything. Life is so big and loud right now, right? And he's like, yeah, man, we got a spot, but it's going to take like 5 days to free up. I'm like, well, what am I going to do?
Well, 5 days.
5 days.
I might not make it for 5 days.
And he's like, calm down. Let's work out a plan. You don't have to worry. We have relationships with West Oaks, which is a state hospital. You can go there for 30 days. And he goes, and we kind of want that. You're coming out of jail. We need you to detox just to make sure. And I was like, okay. So West Oaks had a place, but I needed a few days, right? So I got an Airbnb for 3 days, and I lived in this room making microwavable eggs and sausage and watching all the TV I wanted because it wasn't regulated by a guard. And I was just like, okay, this is a step forward.
Right.
I really recognize that too. This is a step forward. I am sitting in a room that has a comforter, an edible blanket. I have a microwave. I never had that. I have food that was bought at a store, right? It was pretty decent compared to jail food.
Right.
I had HBO. Like, okay.
Yeah, you have HBO, man. Yeah. These are all positive, very positive things. But it is a step. It's the recognition of a step in a different direction.
And it was in a cool place that I liked. I was up in Willis, and I could find some gratitude in that. Now, up until I surrendered, I couldn't find gratitude in anything. So this stuff was just happening. Now I don't know how it was happening, but I was finding gratitude in all these little things. The first day I got to Camp Hope, I didn't know what to expect. 5.5 acre facility. It's all outside. There are no locked doors, no guards, no one taking my shoelaces. No one telling me that I can't wear normal clothes, right? And the first thing that I did wasn't a giant, like a bunch of medicine being pushed in my system. When I got there, I was greeted and I was told that I'm home. It was another combat veteran, just like me, who had graduated the program, who had lived the life I lived, and that is everybody that works there. Every mentor, anybody part of the process, they're all former graduates. I joined the program with 4 or 5 other guys that were 60 or 70 other veterans already in the program. It can house up to 75 to 100 at any given time. And I got put in this house. It's got 5 different structures on it, bays that people live in, little condos, right? Where I'll get to next. But in the house I was in, it was post-COVID, 2021. So we had to stay quarantined for 2 weeks. And so while we're in there, I think it was a week. While we're in there, I'm with these other guys, and we're all saying the same thing. Man, I don't know what this is, but if they're going to try to pump God into me, I'm not having it.
Oh, so you've asked for surrender, you've asked for help,
yes.
and now you're given the stipulations and the rules for it.
Well, yeah. So very familiar crossroads, right?
Yeah.
Now, a couple of the guys that were there were like that, and there's other guys that were devoutly Catholic and believed in God. I still hadn't seen the way God had put this path together for me, right? And I wasn't against God. I was just really wanting to learn more about PTSD, about my brain. I was very much into the why, and I still am. Now I understand that why has a lot to do with God. Back then, I just wanted to know the science, and that's what I was there for. And again, I thought I knew best, right?
Well, it's very much a journalism personality.
Yeah.
If I can find the answer, I can find the fix. If I can find the fix, I can find the happiness or the joy or the love or whatever it is you're searching for.
Logical, right? I intellectualized everything, but also the trauma made me do that. If I'm going to trust this process, I need to fully understand it. Right. And if I agree with it, then I'll be willing to it. So what do you need for a program to work? The number one thing you need is willingness. You have to be able to be willing to trust. Now, I'm in a constant state of fight or flight, have been for some time. Trust isn't really a part of my vocabulary. So what does it take to get that to happen? Well, for Camp Hope, it took 2 things, and it didn't happen exactly in this order, right? But I say within the first month I was there, one thing happened that was really important. This guy, couldn't tell you his name, really furry, very tattooed, big beard.
Really furry?
Really furry. I mean, just lots of hair on his body. Very furry man. And he's got a dip in his mouth. Smells like wintergreen. I hate that smell. I didn't want to be anywhere near it. He says, "Hey man, are you Fahey?" I go, "Nope. I don't know. I have no idea who that guy is."
Not today.
I think he went that way. He goes, "Come here." I was like, "No." He's like, "Come here." I was like, "Not going to happen." He goes, "I have something I want to give you." Definitely not going to happen.
Now no.
No means no, sir. And he opened his arms and he gave me this enormous hug. And when he gave me this hug, I could feel his heart beating against my chest. And because it was a very tight hug, I was completely like, no fight in me. I had nothing. I went limp. And he says, "Do you feel that?" He goes, that's me. I'm here with you." And he didn't say these words. This is typically what's said by our program director when he gives a tour, but this exactly sums it up. What he was telling me is that I'll never have to be alone again. You could almost feel something in my brain move over a little bit, right? That fight or flight switch. Like I felt some energy drain from me. I felt my guard come down a little bit. I felt my brain become a little bit more accepting that where I'm at could work. So this is the first separation that I experienced with Camp Hope is they can actually touch you and tell you they love you. You can't really find that anywhere else, right? Go to a psychiatric hospital, they're definitely not giving out hugs.
Yeah.
You know?
Never seen one give a hug.
Right. They're not going to tell you they love you.
No, not going to do that either.
A lot of especially not at the same time.
Yep,
right?
Nope, probably not at all, for being honest.
You feel that?
Yeah. You might feel something, all right.
So that has not been a part of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that instantly I could tell this place was different. There was something else here. Second thing is no locked doors, no high walls, no gates, no nurses wondering where I am. It was
freedom.
It was a space to seek something out, not to have something pushed into me. Now, Camp Hope, and we're very proud of this, is a spiritually led, faith-driven place, right? God is there. But not everybody comes in knowing that or wanting that, right? So it can't be forced into you. What good is that going to do? They give you a space to seek it out. Now, the large majority of the people that come through Camp Hope have had some type of relationship with the church, at least. That's at some point in their lives. So it's not an alien concept.
Not a shock.
Right. But there's also a lot of trauma there. A lot of people have been hurt by the church. A lot of people have been hurt by faith and by God. At least that's how they interpret it, right? So they can be standoffish, or maybe they just don't want to pursue it, right? So everything's there that if you decide to invest in it, you can get something back. But what I loved is that it didn't lead that way. It led with a guy giving me a really great hug, followed by a bunch more guys giving me a bunch more hugs, all telling me one thing, that they loved me. and that everything's going to be okay, and that welcome home. So my brain started trusting the program, which allowed the program to take some kind of root. The idea in my head that this could work, that maybe something's here, started to take root. Now, accountability is the other part of that. And this was the second biggest thing that happened to me while I was there. I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the openness. I'm learning a lot. I've got no cell phone. I've got no way to contact the outside world, but I'm also told I could leave anytime I want. So I don't feel forced to be there, even though I'm very uncomfortable with the conditions of being there, right? But there's that freedom mixed with the conditions, right? So I'm starting to see that I have some real options here. I can make some choices and I have control of those options, but there still has to be accountability, right? So to this day, I battle with my own ego, right? I 100% feel like I know what's best for not just myself, but maybe everybody in the world, right?
Good. When this is over, you can tell me what's best for me.
So somebody has ever asked me, did you enjoy being a leader? Yeah, sure. I love leading, but I would love to rule.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know?
Still trying to get to that top spot.
Yeah. So, and just coming off a very selfish 4 decades almost of addiction, right? I was still very direct. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't understand that other people had feelings too. Borderline personality disorder. I was very disconnected from the way that other people felt. I had a very, very negative attachment, which means I looked at everything from a viewpoint that was way behind, that allowed me to criticize, to critique, so I could understand if I'm safe. Outwardly, that's expressed in a way that makes me look critical, judgmental, blameful, unaccepting.
A jerk.
Yeah. If you go into one room and they call you a jerk, maybe you're not. If you go into every room and you're a jerk,
you may be a jerk.
Probably a jerk, right? So, I think Camp Hope, in their wisdom, knew that I wasn't going to get anywhere with this attitude. So they brought me into a room. It's called a heart check, and all of the program staff were there. All of them, was 14 people. I was like, what is going on right now?
Sounds like an intervention, not a heart check.
Before they say a word, they take off their hats and they just start praying. Dear God, please allow this person to have an open heart so you can hear what we're going to say. Give us the words. And I go, man, what are they? Am I getting kicked out? And they explain. They say, hey, you're kind of a jerk. They use different words. You have this ego. You have this idea that you know what's right. And they gave me an opportunity to be vulnerable. And God granted me the wisdom to do that. And it opened up with a statement that still rings true, that I need Camp Hope more than it needs me.
That's good.
And that if I need to go back out and get some more pain, then I'm free to do that. But at one point, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get that right prescription of pain, and it's going to make me want to choose a new way to live. So I can choose to find humility in this moment, or I can go back out there and get forced into it. And God had given me just enough pain to understand that of what choice to make there. I did not want to go back to jail. I had no place to go. My kids are suffering. I'm behind on child support. I don't have a dime to my name. I have no earthly possessions, and I have just a history of being sad, upset, including suicide, right? I don't want that option. I apologized. I'm still very confused because I didn't see it, right? But I decided that I could trust them, that it existed, and I need to work on that. So I got to go back into the program. And those two things, that everybody loves me, and I'm worthy of love, but I need this program and I have to work it, kind of results in something that Pastor Molesby, our executive director, Pastor David Molesby, says quite often, is that people call Camp Hope a miracle. And if you look at the work being done and what happens after, you're right. You can see a lot of God working miracles, but it's not. It's a place for work. People don't come here for a miracle, right? Where they do nothing and God does everything. They come here to do the work. And I locked in. Camp Hope is broke up into 4 specific phases: black, red, yellow, and green. Black phase is 30 days of decompression. You're just getting into the program. You are not allowed to leave camp. You have no access to the outside world. You have no cell phone, no computer access. You start your program. You get into the bay where you're living with 15 other guys. Each one of them are just a little bit ahead of you in the program, all working different steps. And you start to dig into something called the Combat Trauma and Healing Manual, which is the program that Camp Hope is based on. It's commissioned early in 2005, 2007, somewhere around there. And then when Camp Hope was established formally as what it is today in 2012, and has helped over 2,000 veterans and counting, between that, the spiritual side of things, some natural things that are taught just by being a part of a loving community, like how to handle conflicts, emotional regulation, things like that. And then also with the back end recovery programs for addiction, then you start to really get this full 360-degree type of care. Now, Camp Hope does have licensed chemical dependency certifications. We have on-site mental health providers. There are PTSD mental health providers, licensed practitioners. In addition, we have a medical, I couldn't call it that actually, it's more of a wellness center where people can go and get their medications that they do need. And when many people come, myself included, I had 20 different medications there, right? I just figured out that I can love. I'm starting to get an idea that I'm worthy, but I have work to do and I need to really invest myself, right? That's what Blackface did for me. Those are and still in that first 30 days, I learned more about what I need to do than I had with anything else, with anywhere else that I'd been. So when I got into Red Phase, which is the real meat and potatoes of the program, I started the CTHM. There's a bunch of steps in there, 12 to 15, I think it was. With the first one, answering questions like, what happened to me? Where was God in this? Where is my hospital? What do I do now? You work through those steps as you work through recovery steps with addiction, if it applies. Some people go there with no addiction, no alcoholism. We have people there from every generation of war, from Vietnam on, right? Going through the program. And where all of that really culminated in Red Phase was at a place called the 4-Step, which is where you give your story, right? You write out your entire bibliography and you deliver it in front of whoever's there at the time. For me, it was like 90 people. Inside that, I think I had written originally like 330 pages, right?
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. But there's this healing thing that happens when you put pen to paper, right? And you start to connect with your emotions. It took me forever. I worked with my mentor. I worked with my mental health counselor. I worked with everybody because I could not feel.
Right.
I had not felt for so long. Like I read it out hundreds and hundreds of times. I still couldn't feel. And then I think it was my mentor, my Bay leader. No, not my Bay leader, excuse me. My Bay mentor. His name was Jeff. He reminded me of my dad. He's also Marine, right? 0311 Infantry. Sooners fan. He's just not a guy I would have been like, this is what I'm going to trust my life with, right? But we had a very early on discussion about what this program was going to look like. And he was very direct, which I loved. And he goes, man, I don't know if these are exact words, but it's about how it came out. He goes, look, man, we're never going to be friends. Like, I don't like you. You probably don't like me. He goes, but I'm going to teach you how to trust. And we're going to work through this program and I'm going to show you how to trust people. And through that, you're going to see some people aren't trustworthy and you're going to get hurt. But what are you going to do? Go back and use? What are you going to do? Hide away from that? No, I'm going to show you how to process that stuff. I'm going to show you that hurt's okay. And it doesn't have to be this crippling, defeating thing, right? That people can let you down. That's okay, man. People do that. He goes, we're going to get you back on some type of footing with that. And we're going to make mistakes too, but we're going to do it together. And we're going to walk the path together. And he lived true to his word. That was exactly what happened. This person, Jeff, he donated $150 to help my daughter through cheer last year. I mean, this guy's amazing. And he was right. I've never met his family, but he promised that no matter what, he'd be there. And all the mentors seemed to work that way. That there doesn't have to be a degree of but there will always be a degree of commitment. There will always be a degree of being there in gratitude and holding each other accountable. I'd never had that. I never had it in parents. What I experienced in the military wasn't that loving. It was that, but not that loving, right? And there's no misconceptions of what it is. I didn't make 20 new best friends, right? I met people that I could rely on to give me the truth, to love me through it, and to help me when I asked for it.
And who really accepted you for who you were in the moment. Like you didn't have to do the perfect thing with this group of guys.
They didn't let me.
Straight up.
They were very clear about my mask and how it has no place here. So when you're at Camp Hope, the schedule is intense. I went to 26 different schools in the military, from photojournalism to combat skills. And I'm telling you, this was the hardest program I've ever been through.
Wow.
And we have Army Rangers, and Navy SEALs have been through the program. They tell you the same thing. It is grueling, man. It's 8.5, sometimes longer hours every day of inner work. That stuff is tough. And it's sharing that and connecting to other people and learning to love and trust, developing a connection with a higher power. Man, that stuff, this does not come easy.
And I think that's why most people stay in the cycles they're in, because what I have found in the past when dealing with patients or clients in therapy is that they're more comfortable with the familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Because the unknown is really scary.
Yeah.
What if I do all these things and it's worse, or it doesn't work out that way? I'm just going to go back there anyway. So just stay here. Just stay in it.
And that's one of the beauties of what Camp Hope is. It's if you were to copy and paste Camp Hope, the 5.5 acre facility, it costs about $30 million, right? To just copy and paste it. Operationally, the PTSD Foundation as a whole, which is a national organization, we operate with about $11 million a year, right? That's our fundraising goal. And that does not allow for expansion or growth. And about 5 to 5.5 goes just into Camp Hope, getting it to run, right? So you got $5 million into a camp that's been proven to work because we take the person out of the environment, put them into a safe environment, and form a structure around them that allows them to confront, to process, to deal, to accept, and to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what Red Phase was for me. I'm learning to trust, I'm accepting, I'm being open about my experiences, and most importantly, I'm being 100% honest with myself. There's no more little fibs, white lies about what it was or wasn't. There's no more making things bigger than what it is or smaller than what it was. It was exactly what it was. And I came to a very undeniable truth that I was a very damaged, broken man who had not taken care of himself, who had chosen not to take care of his family, and who was a victim most of his life. Made himself the victim. That was an important truth because it gave me a starting point. I can fix a lot of those things, right? I'm selfish. Let's not be that way anymore, right? Now, on the other side of it, that's the acceptance, was the forgiveness. That I wasn't responsible for a lot of things that happened to me, and that's okay. I can forgive myself and I can forgive those people. In the areas where I was responsible, I did the very best I could under the circumstances with what I had.
Yeah.
It would have been great to be better or to be different, to be healthier, right?
To not have had all those instances happen would have been great.
Right. But I was unhealthy and I was traumatized. So that's forgiven. Big part too was my mom's a person, man. A person with feelings and hurt and pain. And she's just like me and I love her and I forgive her. My dad was very broken and damaged and I love him and I forgive him. My stepdad was the best man I ever met. And he drowned. Probably not his fault. I'll forgive him.
Right.
I'm not sure that was part of his life plan either. Right? And more importantly, when I got down to it, there was only two people. I need to forgive God and accept that he loves me and that he was not trying to hurt me. Right. But that hurt exists for a reason. That suffering exists for a reason. And that pain exists for a reason. And I have a lot of character defects. And I have them not for me to try to correct, but because I have a use for God. Those are the things I turn over to God and I ask him to remove. They're the things I can't remove. So it's a very long process, right? But Red Phase taught me to accept and forgive and to surrender daily and to ask for help. And you know what I've learned? That when I ask for help, it's given. People want to help people. They just do. They love it. It's more for them than it is for me anyway, just like I am. If someone asks me for help, I'm usually like, all right, well, what do we do?
Yeah, where do we start?
You don't just say, no, I'm good. You know,
yeah, I'll pass today.
Yeah, most people, you might hear like, look, not today. I'm so tired. You know,
yeah, try me tomorrow.
Right, but no one. I have yet to encounter someone who says no, and I don't think that's specific. I think as humans, we really do want to figure out a way to help another person, but as humans, at least in my case, I never really asked for it. I asked for it a lot in my head. And I thought just by looking at me, you would know.
Like the sign would come up above your head that said help flashing with the lights.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to ask.
How do you not know I need help?
Look at me. Yeah.
Don't you see it?
Read my mind.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I was just so, talk about a victim, right? Like I made myself such a victim that you should have already known to ask. And if you didn't, now I have a reason to hate you.
Yeah.
Right? Like those resentments were real.
And you become a part of the problem now.
The whole problem.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I understood. I was getting in my own way. That's what getting my own way means, right? So that was red phase, right? I learned the most important things I could learn in life. And there's a lot of different nuances to how that education was given to me. It's given me through Christianity. It was given to me through science. It was given to me through different understandings of other religions, like Buddhism and things like that. It was given to me through recreational therapies, with equine therapy, with salsa dancing, even with different areas of recreation that allow me to connect to other people. There's a lot of different ways it was given to me that are provided by Camp Hope, because you never know which one's going to stick. And when I got them, I was like, okay, I've learned these skills that I've seen other people. It helps them be healthy and stay healthy. But I still didn't know how to execute them in my life, right? So that moved me on to yellow phase. Now, once I'm out of red phase and I've kind of established those skills, I've forgiven myself. At this point in my recovery, I had a good connection to my higher power. I had about 8 months of clean time, right? Consistently free of any type of mood changing or mind altering substance, right? And relationships. I was completely clear of those things. Now I have to figure out what that looks like in a life afterwards. And this is where Camp Hope really stood out to me beyond other places. Okay, here's some new stuff. Do your best, right?
Yeah, sink or swim. Right. Go for it.
They were like, they set up a yellow phase. It was a 2-month transitionary phase where I got my cell phone back. I could start reacclimating back to the world and start figuring out what my next step is going to be. Because the one thing all of us learn in recovery is that you only have to change one thing, everything.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. So where am I? Now, God had blessed me.
Right.
Because I don't have anything to go back to, right?
You're like, well, that's cool. Got nothing. So we start from ground
zero. And honestly, that was so much easier. Like, I know guys who've gone through the program that have to go back to toxic marriages. They have to go back to toxic workplaces. I couldn't have imagined doing that.
Right.
I didn't have the strength. I didn't. God gave me exactly what I needed. Nothing. That's what I needed. I needed a full tilt reset on my life. I didn't have to worry about a toxic relationship. I had burned those bridges.
You're like, been there, done that. Didn't need to pull another one.
So God taught me loss is a way that he creates space in my life for the things that he wants in my life. Those were all the things that I had chosen. They weren't healthy for me. They didn't bring me closer to God. He wasn't at my middle when I made those choices. He wasn't at the center. So they weren't of him. And if you want to talk a hard prayer, my girlfriend says this prayer all the time. Ask God to remove all the things that aren't of him. And you're going to see a lot of things you thought you needed leave your life. And that's the scariest prayer. It's going to show you real quick what's meant to be in your life and what's not. And for me, it was very painful. So I started working through the transitional phase. I had an excellent mentor, Sam Kay, and he taught me how to make space, how to create space and how to hold that space. He taught me the importance of boundaries and what that looks like in enforcing those boundaries in ways that I could do it. Otherwise, don't set them because they're not going to work. I got put into job skills placement, personality placement. We dug deep into attachment disorders, everything that you're going to need to figure out what your next step is, right? And what I learned was that I was not ready to go back to the modern workplace. I was not. I needed to go back to school. So I made a choice to attend Sam Houston State University. I started their psychology program. Here I am, 41 years old, transitioning to a college, going to the school, in-person classes, using my GI Bill and my disability money to sustain. And everybody's 19, 20 years old. So many butts hanging out of shorts.
You see so many things, Chris, so many things.
The dialect was actually the same as the trap houses.
Yeah.
Like Riz, Cap, like...
You're like,
it was strange. It was all street language in an educational environment. I didn't know what to do. I was leaning on my sponsor. I was leaning on my program. I was leaning on all the things that Camp Hope taught me to do. Save people. Knowing how to take those feelings of uncertainty, confusion, not acting on them, taking them to a group of people who could talk to me about what my next step should be. And I did all of that. Warrior groups that are still offered through Camp Hope and online. As long as you're a veteran, spouse of a veteran, you can attend ptsdusa.org. You can find those. I attended 2 warrior groups a week to talk about the combat stress, to talk about that adaption, right? I attended 2 recovery meetings a week for Narcotics Anonymous, just to keep me tied into a group of like-minded, loving people who knew how to live in gratitude and work steps. I was still working steps.
Accountability,
right. I reached back to my mentor quite often, just with issues. I reached back to the friends that I made in the program, and I reached up to other veterans. It seems like during that time, I was always asking for help. Because when I went and moved out from Camp Hope, this incredibly safe, beautiful place where you got hugs every day and free food and free clothing.
You had to go back to the real world.
Yeah, man. I had free lodging, I had free clothing, I had free food, I had free workouts, I had equine therapy, I had free mental health, everything was there.
Yeah.
Everything. Wonderful, wonderful place to figure out what I'm going to do next. Doing what was next was so hard. Huntsville is a prison town, right? So it was hard to find a meeting. I didn't have a car. I was attending in-person classes, so I was walking to school every day. I took a shuttle in the apartments that were also lived in by my roommates. 2 of them were correction officers. 2 of the other guys were just teenagers. All of them liked to drink. All of them liked to smoke. Parties in my apartment complex all the time. And I didn't really share that part with other people. I didn't want them to worry. I just did what I was told. I did what people told me would work. I worked a program and it worked for me. If you work it, it works. Or if it works, it works if you work it, right? And every day was just a little bit better. So I went from jail, right, to Camp Hope, right, to my own apartment. Then from that, I got an apartment with just one other person, 2-bedroom. Then from that, I got my own 2-bedroom apartment. I'm seeing my kids every day. I didn't share this part, but while the last relationship I was in, the woman had gotten pregnant. I didn't think that child was mine. At Camp Hope, I was told that it probably was. And when I got out of Camp Hope, I jumped right into a paternity suit, figuring out if this child was mine. Literally the first month, I filed through the state. She didn't want anything from me. She thought that it would be better if I was out of this child's life. So she wasn't asking for anything. There was nothing pushing me to do that. But when I prayed on it, God was telling me, you're a father. This is what fathers do. You never had one. Is that what you want, right? I had all these thoughts. So in addition to going to school, figuring out what life looks like, maintaining my recovery, then I also had this little paternity suit. So there was a lot that I needed help with. And it never felt like a burden. I never felt the weight. Because the second the emotions would come in, right, I would share them out. The second the pain would come in, I would process it out. I would ground, I would cope. I would do all these things that Camp Hope taught me to do. I would do it through love and with God. It changed my life. After I got into that second apartment, everything's looking good with my paternity suit. It turns out the child was mine. Beautiful child. His name's Lucas. He's so gorgeous. And I'm getting regular custody with my kids. The co-parents are starting to trust me. I'm doing overnights. I've got full joint custody with my twins. That moved on to another apartment. And from where I started, right, in this recovery process to where I am today, every day has consistently been better. And not because it was a distinguishable step forward, right? I've had some steps backward, but I was never stagnant. I was never hopeless, and I was never without God. And at any given time, I could go back and reconnect to everybody at Camp Hope because they keep that door open as a graduate and as a combat veteran. I went from being unemployed. My first job outside of Camp Hope was as the communications director for St. Isidore's Episcopal Church and Abundant Harvest Kitchen. Very little pay, but they gave me a platform and the ability to work in a safe environment. And had some quirks to work out, some personality quirks. Still very direct, still very controlling, right?
But in a loving environment.
In a loving environment where I was accepted, right?
Right.
And my boss was a priest, that was kind of nice.
Yeah.
And God was in everything, right? Such a joy to have that through him. And then my second job after that was with the PTSD Foundation of America and Camp Hope, where it's hard. The job I work is very hard. It's a corporate environment. I don't know if I was quite ready for that, but the people I work with have been very forgiving, very loving. And everybody around me is still working their own program. And the accountability has shifted, right? From a person sitting me down with 14 other people telling me how much I need them, right? To me having to stop, take an inventory of what I'm doing to other people, be accountable for that, make apologies when they're needed, right? And then correct myself. That's what my recovery looks like now. I still have safe people. I still have my sponsor. I still have recovery, right? The system set up, but I'm more autonomous in it. I'm able to make my own choices and feel comfortable that those choices will have the right outcomes, even though I have no idea at the moment if that's true. And that's because God's there. I wake up each morning. I read something called the Just for Today. And that outlines what I'm going to do that day, what to focus on. I find some backup to that in scripture. I pray a real good prayer. I pray with my girlfriend. And I find the very first thing I find in my day is peace. And I carry that with me through the day. At the end of the night, I take an inventory of what happened and what happened, how it happened, and I figure out where I need to accept and forgive in that. And then I say another prayer about that. And through the course of the day, I'm working very hard. It doesn't always work to find just some gratitude within that parameter. It is a very simple program. It's not 8.5 hours of education anymore. It's not almost daily need of help from other people. What exists now in my recovery is just a lot more surrender. Now, when you look at a person who started their life unable to trust a single person and refusing to give up any ounce of control, to a person now who works so hard to never have control, that exists because of Camp Hope. And it doesn't just exist for me. There's thousands of other veterans who have gone through it, who are experiencing some form of recovery in their life. And there's 65 guys in there right now seeking it out. And it exists there because of the way Camp Hope is set up. Because of the accountability from the mentorship, peer-to-peer, our program is governed by some really fantastic humans who have graduated, been through it, lived through it, and are wanting to guide other people through it. So their intentions are genuine and their purpose is clear. That's step one. Step two is spiritually grounded, which means there's something you're going to experience there that's going to pull you out of yourself and connect you to something outside of yourself that loves you and that's caring. That's so important. Love lives there. Hope 100% lives there. And this idea that I looked my entire life that a cure, that a solution could be found, I have found there. Doesn't mean I'm done working, right?
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't matter if you went through all that or not. Every day's work.
Right. It just means that I found a way to do the work, and that although there's not a conclusion to the solution, I'm living in the solution.
Right.
And that's been, from what I understand of my life to this day, that's been the reason that I exist, is to experience that, tell other people it exists, and try to get people to see it for themselves so they can support this wonderful place that we have called Camp Hope. Because for me, it is a place of work, but I personally seen the miracle. And I would love to bring anybody who has an interest over, give them a tour and show them what that could look like to them. So life today, if you had to sum it up, what does it look like today? Because you've mentioned a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So you are in a relationship, but this time it's healthy. I love her. Well, that's a start. Yeah. That's a start. I've asked this poor woman to marry me 5 times. She has not said yes yet, but I'm wearing her down. Keep trying. Keep trying, man. Keep trying. So I am very close to finishing my degree in psychology. I'm very excited to start graduate work. I have plans to apply to Columbia and to A&M. Both have excellent military programs. And the degree of instruction I'll get is just fantastic. I love the world I live. I love my own skin. I love the way I am. I love the way I feel. I just love who I am. And today, what life looks like now is just knowing that I am completely worthy. I don't try to people please, even though I do overcompensate in some ways. I surrender daily, twice a day. And I understand the power in just getting out of my own way and how easy that can be once I get used to it. Me and my twins have an exceptional relationship, and they've gone through everything. I've been completely honest with them about everything that's happened in my life. How old are they now? They're 14. Oh, they're at that age. They're at that age, yeah. But do you know what it's like to have a child that knows literally, I don't mean this figuratively, they literally know everything about me. They know about the drug addiction. They know about what I experienced on the streets, what I did. And I asked them for help, and I asked them for forgiveness. And this stretches to something about Camp Hope I left out. So all the places I've ever been, you can bring your kids in for a small visit, whatever. It's in a very sterile commercial environment, right? Right. There was no degree of connection happening. A lot of fear. A lot of, hey, oh, you feeling okay? You know, a lot of like, blah. Yeah. Camp Hope allows families to come in on Sundays when you're in red phase, as long as there's no issues. And they can stay the entire day. You can have a barbecue. It has a kids area. It has games. For Christmas, make a list. They're going to buy the gifts. Make sure they're there for the kids. They can go to the 1 hour, 1.5 hour church service. And then after that, you get the entire day to spend with each other. They've got a jungle gym. They've got outdoor play areas. They've got indoor play areas. They've got tons of games. For me, it was an Easter and I hid probably 60 eggs. I mean, stupid. And it took me and my kids like 6 hours to find all those dumb eggs.
But 6 hours you're never going to forget.
Do you know what happened? So when I first came off, I was 145 pounds, right? I was completely eviscerated. And I looked sick. I looked broken. I looked real bad. And my daughter asked me why I looked the way I did. And I told her I just wouldn't eat all my fruits and vegetables. And she went and got some. And she told me I needed to eat them. I had lost a lot of trust in my kids. They were scared of me, right? They didn't.
Right.
I did to them what my parents had done to me, right? So during the process of that Easter egg hunt, we started to connect. And we got to interact in a real way. And that continued weekend after weekend until one time my daughter and my son, they just gave me a hug. And they told me they loved me. And it wasn't out of obligation. They looked at me and they told me they loved me and they meant it. My relationship with my children, I think, I don't know how it could be any better. When we make jokes about my past now, I never thought that would be a reality. Because sometimes we'll be going down and be like, you guys, you need to be grateful. There are people out there right now, and my daughter would be like, yeah, on the street, just like you.
She gives you your whole story back.
Right. And I just laugh. I go, but it's true. And she goes, I know. And she goes, but that's not going to be me because I love you and I love God. So they say some random stuff like that. My daughter leads a Bible study at her school for a bunch of 14-year-old girls middle school girls. I'm not really even sure they know how to like each other.
I'm pretty sure they don't.
But she leads a Bible study. My son is on the football team. He's got this great friend group that he talks about his feelings with. My son is so emotionally smart. He can speak about feelings in a way that's so dynamic for his age, even for an adult. The way he really observes himself and looks at who he is and why he's doing things, it is uncommon. And that's a result of honesty. And that's one part of recovery that I am just so grateful for. The relationship I have now is very early, really. We've only been together 6 weeks maybe, but I know that I've met my soulmate. I know it. I know God's put her in my life for a reason. I know that I love her, and I know that because of the way that she takes care of herself and the way that we pray together. I never really had a girlfriend that woke up saying, hey, let's talk to God today. Let's find God in this situation. Who wants to read the Just for Today with me and see how it fits into her life, right? Who's willing to trust me to make her the center of my universe, right? And take away the control that she has, like that I would struggle with. There's just so much God in all that. There's so much recovery in all that. The job I have is very, very fulfilling. Being able to work for the foundation at Camp Hope gives me an opportunity like this to talk to people about what happens there in a very real way through a personal story. If it had happened anywhere else, I'd be with that organization talking about it, but it didn't. And I've been all around the world. I've been to like 40 countries. It happened here in Houston, Texas at Camp Hope, and that's got to be for a reason. And I just want the entire world to know that because Camp Hope is a place that needs to exist. And as a community, we need to make sure it does because hundreds of thousands of combat veterans are finding relief, finding restoration. If you know the statistics like I know them, in the greater Houston area back in 2022, what do you think? Out of all the veterans who attempted suicide, how many completed the action? What percentage?
45.
Go higher. I'll give you another guess.
65.
Higher. It was in the high 90 percentile from what I read. That may have changed since 2022. I don't think so. We did an independent survey across 8 states some years ago. Came out to, I think the VA is saying about 22 a day is what we're losing to suicide. It's more like 44 a day. The number is much higher. The situation is much grimmer and it's completely avoidable. And Camp Hope is one of those few places that has built a program that allows people to do it without the help of narcotics, without any type of destabilization, and in a way you can experience real love and connection. We are completely nonprofit. It takes $144 per day per veteran. It's about $25,000 or so to get somebody through our program for 6 months. Average time on site, 6 to 8 months is what we're working with. And we're bolstering about a 48% graduation rate for a program that's 4 times as long as most programs. And there's no requirement to be there. You can leave anytime you want. And the way that we keep that, I think if you compare, this isn't to poke eyes, it's just a comparison, right? The VA It has a 30-day program that costs about $50,000, right? Double for a fifth of the time. And I think they're celebrating about a 10% graduation rate. And there is success in that. That's beautiful for a 30-day program with 10% graduation. Ours is just much different, much longer, much harder. And we have a much higher rate of success because of the fact that we're allowed. They're obligated in a different way. They're bound, right?
Yeah.
We're not bound. We can have God in our program. We can have love in our program. And that's why we got to keep it nonprofit. If we were to accept insurance money and things like that, then we'd have to accept incoming narcotic prescriptions. We'd have to accept a different way of the program operating, right? So it's important that we don't do that because the data's there. And when you got an upward of 90% of veterans who attempt to kill themselves succeeding, we don't got a lot of room for error.
Yeah, no, not a lot of wiggle room.
No.
So this is a good space to say, how can listeners support Camp Hope through donations, volunteering, or spreading awareness? Like, what is the greatest need?
Sure. The nonprofit realm is governed off 4 T's, right? Time, talent, testimony, and treasure. Awareness is always going to be the number one thing that we need. We need people to know about Camp Hope. But at the end of the day, your time and your talent, you could come over and volunteer with us. You could be a part of the mission. Where people go, our mission, where we're at here in North Houston, you can go there. You can volunteer there. You can see the veterans. You can sit with them. You can know what we're doing. We're providing all needs: housing, clothing, mental health treatment, mentorship on site. Everything that a person would need in order to find a full restoration in life, we're providing. So really what it comes down to is, how are we going to help more veterans and how do we exist? Time, talent, and testimony are always the things. There are people that are going to be in rooms that we can't be in. Invite us in. Let us talk to those people. Let us share what we do to people who can help us. And we love volunteers. We need that. It'll always come down for me to one thing, though, that this place needs to exist, and there's a back-end price tag to it all. We have a general contributions fund that we have to keep. We need $11 million a year to sustain. That's not to grow. And we want to be the center of excellence for all things PTSD. Right? We want first responders. We can help them through warrior groups, but we don't have a Camp Hope for first responders. We don't have a Camp Hope for female veterans, right? Who experience more military sexual trauma. We don't have a Camp Hope for just family members, right? Ultimately, the goal would be to grow there, but just to sustain, we need 11 million annually. We need at least 5 of that to go into Camp Hope just to sustain. So we're always going to need contributions. There's a lot of ways to do that. We hosted over 400 events this year. You can sponsor those events. Write it off in your marketing dollars, right? If you're a company or a business, come sponsor an event. Write it off as marketing, and let's make a difference together. If you're a corporate giver, if you're a vice president of corporate giving someplace, come check us out. Great place to drop off your corporate money. We will put it to good use. At $144 per day per veteran, we're getting something done at half the cost as other places, and we're doing it in a way that's showcasing real restoration. There's studies done on this. When you take a combat veteran, a father, right, and you put him back into the family structure in a healthy way where he's developed a sense of security in a healthy way, that needle, that traumatic needle that goes down through the family genetics, it gets reduced. The community starts to thrive more, right? By healing them and putting them back, we are helping the community in some very big ways. So even if you're not huge into the veteran support, this extends much further than that.
Right.
So ultimately, contact us at www.ptsdusa.org, ptsdusa.org, and come book a tour with us. Ask for me, Chris. I would love to take you. I would love to take you on a tour. I'll walk you through everything, but we have all kinds of other people who can take you on a great tour. Learn about what we do. And I'm going to ask you something. As taxpayers, we paid to put combat veterans in combat, right? Who else is going to do it if not us? We paid to put them there. It takes a little bit of money to get them restored, a lot less, I can promise you. I think that needs to be accepted as our responsibility as well. If there was another way to do it, we'd be doing it. But this is the way that we've seen works. So this is the support that we need.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone listening that's a veteran or not, who might be hesitant to seek this type of help, what would you say to them? Like if they're listening right now.
First off, if you're a veteran, a combat veteran, or a family member, and you're hurting, 877-717-PTSD. 877-717-PTSD. That is our crisis line. Combat veterans like me pick up. It's not an answering service. You will talk to another combat veteran. Asking for help was the hardest thing I ever did. And I let my life get to a point where I didn't have a choice. It was that or die. It doesn't have to be that way. Online at ptsdusa.org, we have warrior groups that you can attend online. Get help, warrior groups. You can find one online. It doesn't require you to do anything. You don't have to even speak. Just log in and hear. Listen to it a little bit and see if what's being said matches up to what you're feeling. And if that's the case, listen a little longer. Listen a little longer. And then when you're ready, introduce yourself and let us see how we can help you.
I love that. Man, thank you so much. Just for your heart and your willingness to share. I know it's not easy to walk back through a story of pain. It does bring things up. It doesn't matter how healthy you are or where you're at. You have to still walk through it. But you do it with such grace and such love. And you can just see that God has really changed your heart, and that you just want to share this gift he's given you with others. Do you have like a favorite scripture?
1 Peter 5:6. So humble yourselves under the mighty power of God, and at the right time, he will lift you up in honor. I mean, that's such a wonderful scripture that applies to exactly what's being said in the Just for Today. And it reminds me to be patient, to be kind to myself. This isn't on my terms, that what I want for my life isn't mine, and that if I surrender my life and my will over to God's will, then he's going to raise me up in honor at the time that's right for him, which will be right for me, right?
Absolutely. Man, that is so powerful. Thank you again for coming and for sharing part 1 and part 2. This has been a pleasure, and I am so excited for our listeners to hear your story, and to hopefully reach out to some new people who can also plug into Camp Hope. What an amazing organization, doing some amazing things right here in Houston, Texas. So you guys, you're going to find all the details for all the things Chris mentioned in the resource section. Go check them out. Go see Chris. Let him take you on a tour. Again, thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
See you guys next week. Bye, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for joining us for this powerful episode 2-parter on Southern Soul Chats. I hope Chris Fahey's story and the work of Camp Hope has inspired you as much as it's inspired me. If you or you know someone who is a veteran in help or needs support, Camp Hope's 24-hour crisis line is always open. You can also visit their website as well to see how you can get involved. As we wrap up, let's remember what Chris shared about surrendering to God's love and trusting his plan. When we place our brokenness in God's hands, he transforms it into something beautiful, just as he did for Chris. If this episode spoke to you, share it with a friend, share it on social media, and don't forget to subscribe. Until we see you at our next inspiring story, we'll see you later. Bye, y'all.